we all have an obligation to think about how we can make Hartford grow, how we can bring jobs to this city. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what I think everybody in this room can do. But first, I just want to highlight, we have to be focused equally on our aspirations and on our obstacles. Our aspirations are achievable. We can be a world-class city. We can be a metro region of 1 million+ people that rivals the best small cities in this country. But not if we don't also pay attention to the fact that everybody in this city's got a share in that rise. To do that, we need to focus not just on the downtown development, Kevin, that you spoke about, as exciting as that is. We also need to remember that we've got neighborhoods that are the real heart of this city. That for a long, long time, Albany Avenue, Franklin Avenue, Farmington, Maple, North Main, those were real centers of commerce, end of community. That's what knit our city together, and it's what connected us out to the region that so many of you all live in. We have to get back to focusing on some of those neighborhoods and some of those corridors. At the same time that we continue our momentum downtown, and believe me, I'm going to do everything I can, working in partnership with CRDA, with the state, to continue that momentum. With UConn, and I see President Herbst is here, their commitment to Hartford is exciting and one of the greatest opportunities that we've got. But we've got to look beyond downtown, because downtown development isn't enough. And we've got to make sure that we're not forgetting that economic development is about more than building buildings or converting buildings. It's more than real estate projects, more than baseball stadiums. Fundamentally, it's about jobs and opportunity for the residents of the city of Hartford. We talk a little bit more about some of the challenges that we face. This year alone, we've got roughly $4 million deficit that we need to close in the next few months. In the years to come, we face a structural deficit that is daunting. Somewhere in the neighborhood of $30 million. That's more than 10% of the non-education spending that the city of Hartford does. That is a huge obstacle for us to overcome. We cannot deal with that structural problem and continue to be a city that serves all of its residents, that recognizes that we have to improve education, that we have to try to strengthen our workforce development, that we have to invest in employment for young people. We can't do all those things on the tax base that we have and do it the way that a city that's the economic and cultural heart of a region of 1.5 million people should do, unless we start acting like a region. And that means we're going to have to change the way that we, as a state, fund our cities. Nobody in their right mind would design a state of 169 independent towns these days. Nobody in their right mind would create a city like Hartford, draw a circle around it at 17.5 square miles, and keep all of the property tax base beyond that out of it. There are a lot of ways to get at that challenge, and I don't want to get into the discussion too deeply about that today, but I ask you to recognize that Hartford's challenges are not just that there's been a lack of accountability at times or bad decisions at times. Our challenge is structural. We have to acknowledge this, because it's so easy for folks who are living outside of Hartford. You may love this city, but it's so easy to look and say, I'm just frustrated, I'm fed up with Hartford. Why does it seem to always have these challenges? And so in that discussion, recognize that in some ways, the deck has been stacked against the city of Hartford. And we have to start dealing from a new deck. I'm going to be working hard at the state capitol, visiting the suburban towns around Hartford to make that case. To make the case that it can't work when half of our property tax base is non-taxable and we only get reimbursed for a small fraction of the value of that property. It can't work when we are, by some measures, the second poorest city in the country at the heart of one of the most affluent regions in the country. So I want to spend a minute on that because I ask you to be allies in that battle. And it's not an easy one, because I know how strong the commitment to home rule is. I know how deep the skepticism is about what we can achieve in Hartford. But I also know from this room and the people I know in this room and the energy in this room that everybody here believes we can do so much better in this city and this region, and that we really can set our expectations and our aspirations at a whole new level and achieve them.